Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Volusia County School Board Workshop. Today is August 8th. It is 12:30 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just like our students start their day, we will start with a moment or move on to a moment of silence and reflection. And so we'll take a moment of silence to reflect on why we're here and the work that we are to do. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to Volusia County School Board Workshop. I'd like to start off by introducing the amazing folks that are around the dais. We'll start off on the left-hand side. We have Mr. Carl Persis, representative of District 4. Next to Mr. Persis, we have Mrs. Linda Cuthbert, representative of District 3. Next to Ms. Cuthbert, we have Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
who is standing in for Mr. Ted Doran, our board attorney. Moving over to the right, we have Celeste, our incoming amazing agency clerk. Yes, you take the title of amazing. Next to Ms. Celeste, we have Aaron Lieben, who is our amazing outgoing agency clerk. Next to Ms. Lieben, we have Mrs. Anita Burnett, representative for District 2. Next to Mrs. Burnett, we have Mrs. Jamie Haynes, Vice Chairwoman representing District 1. Next to Mrs. Haynes, we have Dr. Carmen Balgobin, who is our Superintendent of Schools. And my name is Ruben Colon, and I have the distinct pleasure and honor of serving as the chair this year. We have two items on the agenda today, Board. We'll be discussing the Volusia League of Cities as well as access and opportunity presentation. Superintendent?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, board members and members of the audience. I would like to call at this point in time Ms. Karen Allen. Ms. Karen Allen is the Executive Director for the Volusia League of Cities, along with Ms. Miller. Ms. Miller is the second VP of Volusia League of Cities, and they have an exciting presentation for us regarding a membership opportunity with Volusia Leagues. Come on up, please.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. So my name is Karen Allen, and I am the Volusia League of Cities Executive Director. I've been with them since 2019 in different capacities and came back, left for a couple months last year, and then was asked to come back in the fall as their director. I have brought with me today Mayor Miller, and I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about the association, the details of it, how it works, what we do, and then I'd let Mayor Miller talk about the relationships and the benefits of the organization. So first off, we exist primarily to promote communication between the municipalities and the municipal leaders within Volusia County. We foster cooperative action, and we try to make sure that everybody is meeting common needs. And then we also represent Volusia County to the State League of Cities, to the state legislature, to the county government, federal government, wherever it's appropriate. We work to promote sound municipal government throughout Volusia County, and we foster municipal education, civic consciousness among the citizens. So as part of that, we put on bi-monthly meetings, in which every one of our members is invited to. These dinner meetings, we have been inviting the school board. I think it's my understanding that the previous director had invited the school board to join, and as I came in and took over, I've just been trying to continue the relationship and inviting you to go. So we've been continuing inviting you to our meetings. Once you're a member, each of you would be allowed to attend and bring one guest. There is a cost for the dinners. That's $40. That's to cover the meals and the cost of the meals. We usually have about 100 to 150 attendees. Primarily, we always have representation from every city in the county, as well as some of our associate members, which are the non-government entities that are also members. We publish the meeting locations in advance, and it really gives an opportunity for each of you to network with other people. The meetings start at 6, there's an hour networking opportunity, and then a dinner and a presentation with a speaker that we try to tie into whatever current issues are going on at the time. So we're led by an executive board, and then we have our board members, and our bylaws are available for review if you're interested in those. So the association management is provided through UCF, through their Center for Public and Nonprofit Management. So I'm actually an employee of UCF and then serving as the executive director for the league. So we do a lot of different things. We are supported by the Florida League of Cities, and they represent the interest of Volusia County municipalities as well. We put on annual ethics training, so if you fall into the category of needing to do yearly ethics training, that would be something you would be able to attend at no charge. Right now, we're working on some advocacy and a Civics 101 class that we're trying to hold in each of the cities throughout the county, and the purpose of that is to educate citizens on how government works. So, of course, that includes school board issues, so getting that education to our citizens so that they know how to work with the system and speak out. And then we're working on a couple new programs that will help with candidate forums moving forward in the future, and some mentorship programs for newly elected officials. So I'll let Mayor Miller talk to you a little bit about the benefits of being in the association and the networking and the relationship building.
Good afternoon. I know some of you, but I haven't had the privilege of meeting all of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity today. So as Karen said, I am a mayor, and I'm also the second vice president of Volusia League of Cities. Been on the board of directors, I think, about 2 years. First of all, I want to talk about when Karen talked about Civics 101. So I am also the advocacy chair. And what we're trying to do is get our citizens involved. This is all about involvement. So in this class, what we talk about is bills and governments, how a bill goes from a concept all the way through the legislature. And what we do as Volusia League of Cities, we go up to Tallahassee and represent our residents on this is what's important to us. But we can only do so much. So with involving the classes in Civics 101, we say, these are your representatives. They can hear from us all day long, but they want to hear from their residents. And that is more important actually than the officials. So in the League of Cities, we do a lot of networking. When I took office, I felt like each of our cities was just in a silo by itself, just operating. And I am doing everything I can. Again, I'm the second vice president. I'm also involved in something Volusia, a roundtable. So that's just to say, let's share our opportunities. Let's network. There's a lot of good information that some of us have. And so we have a mayor's call, and thank you to Mayor Don Burnett. He was the one that started these. But that's, again, just sharing ideas, and that came out of the Volusia League of Cities. We just knew that we needed more opportunity. We now do that once a quarter. And again, that's just collaborating. So I just want to express upon you too that from where I sit, the city officials are normally the first ones they reach out to. And then I want to be able to build a relationship with the school board, with the county, to say, I will get you to the person you need. You cannot imagine the questions that come to us at the city level about everything. So I want to be able in Volusia County to represent our county, and this Volusia League of Cities does do that. Karen talked about the Florida League of Cities, so we will be going to a conference this week, and again, I want representation from all of Volusia County at that meeting, the school board, the county, everything that we need to be able to present a united front. So that's about all that I can say on that right now. If anyone has any questions for either Karen on the administrative or me, what we do about the networking, we'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Thank you so much, Board. Does anybody have any questions? We'll start with Mr. It's not showing, but I thought Mr. Persis pressed the button, so that's
And
not
I'm
working.
hitting it, and
Okay.
I'm hitting it.
Yeah.
Do we have a
Oh.
Wi-Fi connection?
I don't know, but we'll start with Mr. Persis.
I don't know. All right. Well, hi.
Hi.
And welcome. And,
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Well, no secret here. I'm so much in favor of us joining and being partners. It's all about relationships, and we want to have relationships with all of our cities. And I think we have pretty good ones, but it can always get better. And the way things usually get better is when you really can put a face with a name and can see someone and say, oh, now I know who you are, and I know who you are, and I can go up and I can say hello, and it's just nicer, so that when we have things like I need some help with a parking situation like at the Berry, or situations that I've had in Ormond Beach, that you can call up the mayor or call up the city manager and say hello, and let's do it. I do want to ask you, when we go to the meetings, and of course we go to a lot of them because our spouses are part of city governments. You do this thing where you say, like, let's say you say, okay, Port Orange, how many people are here from Port Orange? And they say 5, and then you go around and they say, whatever it is, how many are here from Volusia County government, and whatever that they say. But you said that, so if the Volusia County School Board joined, then we could send a member and a guest, you said.
Well, actually, each of you would be able to attend. So within the cities, all of the elected officials are invited, and then some of the administrative people, so city
Okay.
managers and things are also invited. So each of you would be invited to the dinners, and then each person could bring a guest. So you would all be members, both as a whole for the Volusia County School Board, and then individually within the school board.
Okay, and then well, thanks for clearing that up. And
Yeah, I'm
then
sorry.
The other thing was when you do started out as a mayor's roundtable, but now it's an elected officials roundtable. That was at the airport. Is it
It still
back
is.
at the airport
It's
again?
back at the airport.
Is that still once a month, or?
We do not have it in the summer, but we have it every other month. So we will have another meeting in September.
And then who would attend that typically?
So that's actually not part of the Volusia League of
Okay.
Cities. Our mayor's meeting that we do, we started, primarily it came about through COVID. Mayor Burnett was the president of the league at the time, and we really wanted to kind of get everybody together and kind of be on the same page and discuss the ever-changing situation. So that's how that started. It has evolved into more of just a collaborative type meeting environment. The meeting that you're speaking with, Nancy would have to speak to that.
And Nancy?
And that's just building again, that's just one of the reasons that I wanted to get involved, was anything to do with Volusia County. Again, networking. And when you talked about, Carl, about picking up the phone, I have formed so many relationships with Volusia County through the league, through the roundtable, that when somebody calls me right now, I have that person that I know if they don't know the answer, someone else will. And that's so important for our residents to know. I can reach out to the city, or the reverse, like you said, if someone contacts you and you say, I have a relationship with that city manager, with the mayor. So we're trying to involve more of the city managers too, so the whole city structure. And so even this week, for the first time, I'm happy to say our city manager will be going to the Volusia League of City, Florida League of Cities this week. So we're going to collaborate with people from Volusia County and from other counties.
Okay, that's awesome. Are you planning to go to the Florida League of Cities?
No.
No. Okay, I am going to go.
Right.
I've never been. I don't think I've been. Maybe I was a long, long time ago. But yeah, so I understand this is the 100th anniversary for the Florida League. So I think I thought that would be interesting.
And
to
Carl,
just-
what's so important too, while we're there, it's not only to collaborate, but they have a lot, if you're signed up to go to this, they have a lot of learning classes, on cyber, just so many classes that are informative and helpful that we need. And what they do is normally at every time slot, there's 3 or 4 you can choose from. So something that might help my city might not help someone else, but I'm going to go to the one that's going to help my residents and my city.
And I'll just ask one more, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind. And it had always been, I guess it still is, where each meeting you rotate it, like goes from one city, is the
Correct.
host to another. Can you
All over the
talk about
county.
that? I mean, how that,
So, that's completely voluntary. As a government entity, you would be allowed to host if you were interested in. You're not required to do so. You would fall in the same category as Volusia County, and so they just hosted for the first time in a little while. So we just do it. It takes about 3 years to get through the whole rotating schedule, and each city just hosts. I reach out to the next people in line. We go alphabetically, make sure that everybody's okay with it, and then rotate. So if you wanted to be added to that rotation, you could. If not, it's not a requirement.
and so when when a municipality is the host, what, is there money involved to be a host, or how does?
So we charge $40 a person for the meals. So we reimburse the host city that cost. So as long as they stay within those costs for the meal, that is covered. Usually the cities work with some of our associate members or other vendors to serve as sponsors. So, but it depends on what they want to do. If they want florals on the tables, they might, reach out for additional sponsorship. I help facilitate that as well because we have quite a few associate members who are willing to sponsor part of the dinners. But the cost of the meal theoretically is covered by that $40 per person.
Who did the last one?
That was Volusia County,
That was at the Deltona.
right? And we actually met there
It's a really nice place.
twice in a row because we do an annual service awards banquet, which we would be happy to include you in as well, where we have different awards that we do that annually. And so that's usually in May, and we rotate that between the Brandon Center and the center at Deltona so that we're representing each side. And so if you were part of that, we could talk about having awards if you wanted an additional kind of awards as part of that as well.
Okay, and just finally, and I mean finally, I'm sorry, when it comes time to assessing, like how much does Ponce Inlet pay the same dues that Deltona does, or?
So your membership dues are based on the population that you served. So you would fall in the same category as Volusia County because you serve the entire county. So the membership dues for you would be $2,000 per year.
Okay.
And it's all based on population. So Ponce Inlet does not pay the same as Daytona
Well,
Beach.
I would hope not, so, but I just had to ask the question.
It's population based.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a different side and let you know some of the experiences I've had on the mayoral roundtable, as well as I did attend a Volusia League of Cities dinner last July, the first one you came back after COVID, and I was invited by the mayor of Port Orange, Mr. Burnett. However, we have our own association that helps us in Tallahassee, that gives us professional development, and that's the Florida School Board Association. We also have our own support association, and that's our Futures Foundation, to help us with fundraising, grants, scholarships for our teachers, our administrators. They sponsor Teacher of the Year. We do have that support. When I was invited last summer, I was thrilled. I went all the way over to, I remember the building. I forget. I don't remember where it was. Ormond, I think.
Ormond.
Where was it?
I think it was at Cobb and Cole or.
Common Cold. Yes, it was surrounded by water. I saw
Yeah, it was
water
on the beach
everywhere.
side in Ormond.
Easy to park. It was lovely. I walked in. Everybody, no one knew who I was. I was chair at the time last summer. Wanted to know why I was there. I signed in. They didn't know I was a guest. I was never introduced. Nobody knew I was there, even though I was an invited guest and y'all paid for my dinner, until Ms. Burnett brought my name up because someone was speaking from DeLand, said, "Oh, Miss Burnett, you represent the school board, you're here," and she spoke up and said, "But Mrs. Cuthbert is here too." Because Tom Wright, Senator Wright was there, he was a guest, he was introduced, and I wasn't. And then just to kind of go further, 2 weeks later, I got a call that someone in the group had COVID. So I went and I got a test immediately. I was negative, and I tested again, I was negative. But then I saw the headlines in the newspaper a couple days later. I knew who it was, and I sat right next to him at the dinner table. So no one really knew. I mean, coming right off, I was just finishing radiation. I mean, it was very scary for me.
Oh, absolutely.
I was scared to death. So I would like to know, $2,000 is a lot of money. Will you be able to accept us? We've been a county entity for a long time. I've gone to the Volusia County Council state of the county addresses. We are never mentioned as a partner in hurricane shelters. I mean, we open up our schools, we've manned them for years. We transport everyone, and never one mention of it. I have been in a Volusia VEA retired meeting, and the county management person came in and said, "We handle everything, we take care of the shelters, we do everything." And I had to stand up and say, "No, sir, you don't. It's Volusia County that school board runs it." The attitude that I have found in the 7.5 years that I have been elected is that I've been shunned by some of my cities because of my political registration, not being invited to meetings, chambers. And I know the city council people, it's taken me 7 years to get a traffic light outside of New Smyrna Beach High School, because the county didn't have anything to do with us, the city of New Smyrna didn't want to have anything to do with us, till I just had to gather forces and force it down their throats. What can you do to help? And this is my whole question. This is what I'm experiencing. And I'm not running for re-election, so I'm only here for 7 more meetings.
Yeah.
What can you all do to change that attitude, to change the tide? Because I've been here a while. Ms. Burnett has been here for 2 years, but Ms. Haynes has been Volusia County employee, as well as Mr. Persis, but he's had more of a political background, where Ms. Haynes has not. How can you assist us in being more accepted? How can we be looked upon as an equal county government system? We are the #1 economic driver. We have in our fold, in our charge, 62,000 students who are all citizens. That's what almost half, or 1/5, maybe a little bit less than a fifth of all the citizens in Volusia County. We have all their parents involved. We have all of our neighborhoods. I mean, real estate values are based upon what kind of school is in the neighborhood. We have given up our school calendar. We've closed school on the primary day as well as election day in order so the Board of Elections can use some of our schools as precincts. We keep giving. How can we receive some respect from the other cities and the county that we too are a governing body, a respected governing body of Volusia County? Because I have always felt like a stepchild.
Okay, I'll start on that, and then you can help. And I apologize for the dinner. Was
Well,
it?
it's not
no,
your fault.
No, I
It's
know,
just-
but I feel, Anita, was it a late dinner?
Yeah, it was, I want to say it was the end of the year.
It was the end of July. It was
Yeah.
the same time. No, I was the only one there because everyone else was in Orlando.
Yeah,
Because
you and
it
I
was
were
the
the
Florida Teacher of the Year
Okay.
banquet, and everybody else went because we had a finalist.
Yeah, regardless, I mean, that should never happen, and I try to, when we go to one of these dinners, I ask Karen which one of our sponsors are here, who are our guests, so I made a special effort. And I understand how you feel. When I took office 4 years ago, we had a very broken relationship with the county, and after I got things, Daytona Beach Shores does not take a lot to get straightened out.
Thank you very, I mean, I'm blessed to be in that city. But I thought, how can I get things? And so that's what I worked on. The previous mayor did not have a very good relationship with the county, and we need the county more than they need us. And I said, I'm going to fix that relationship by asking people to come and speak, to include everyone in there. So when you talk about the organizations you have, they sound like fantastic organizations, but I don't know if they have everything to do with the cities. And we are the cities that make up your school board. So that's where the relation comes from. So the networking, I feel like ever since I've taken over as second vice president, we have Lois Paritsky from Ponce and Paula from Daytona. We've made every effort to change those meetings to make sure everyone feels inclusive, that as my responsibility, I feel, is to go in and introduce myself to every one of the guests that we have there, as well as our sponsors. So I don't know about if there would be any guarantee, but I know what you mean, that I felt like everything was segmented. Like, here were the cities here was the counties here, the same way too, and there is no need for that. We need to work together, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Karen.
And I was just going to say, I can't speak to what happened over the summer because I was gone for a few months. But I do put together the agenda and the loose script that is followed. And one of the things that has been our goal is make sure that we are recognizing people publicly. We have added Volusia County to our roll call, which is what you were referencing, is like how many people are here, even though you aren't members yet, I hope. But we have done that just for that recognition, because you were attending regularly. So there are different things that we can do. I will say that I also get calls from people that'll say, hey, I need to get in contact with so-and-so from another city, and I can make an effort at the dinner to make sure that you're connected, can meet with people so that you get to have your story told from your mouth directly to the other people, and that form that relationship, and that and then you may choose to sit together, and talk, throughout the dinner.
One really good example was several years ago when I was chair along with Mr. Russell, our former superintendent. We were sitting at a mayoral luncheon and over quite a few different months. And there was always a discussion that the county wanted to have some sales tax. And I turned to Mr. Russell one time and said, we have a very successful committee, half-cent sales tax committee. We had everything set up. We were successful twice in having our voters vote for that half cent. No one ever asked. I asked Mr. Russell, has the county come, or has any of the cities, has anyone ever asked us how we did it? He said, no, they won't. And I said, can I say something about that? He said, no, we're here for show only.
Wow. And see,
Okay,
yeah.
so I just want to let you know that the perception is there. And if we do join, because we can't give citations for parking tickets, we can't rent halls. The only revenue we have, and we can't set our own millage rate. The only revenue we have is state, local taxes and grants, and federal grants, but we have no others. So we're very, very careful. We have to be very careful of the money, whether it's $2,000 or $200 or $2 million of our money. So personally, I would love to see this turn around, because I've met some very gracious people. I mean, his wife is a city commissioner. I've known her for a long time. Her husband, has the best police force, I think, in the city, in Port Orange. When it comes to our schools, they're always out and about. So I would love to see that turn around. If we could put a plan together to make sure that we are involved and we are actively accepted.
We would love to help you do that.
And see, Linda, that was the disconnect when I talked about sharing successes. You did something that was successful, but nobody asked you, how did you do it? That's what I'm trying to do on the mayor's calls. Everybody has some success, and we bring forth our obstacles too, like we're having problems doing this. Does anyone have a success? And that's what this collaboration is about. And again, I'm trying to do that from where I'm sitting, and Karen has a big help as our director.
We do everything you all do, everything, IT. And we have a school board attorney sitting with us, and clerks, and we have our county manager right here. We have everything set up the same way, only we're on so much of a larger scale. I mean, we have the largest budget. This year, I think it's $1.37 billion. I mean, no one else has that. So we too understand where you're coming from. We would just like to, at least from my point of view, from what I've experienced, we would like to be accepted.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay, and I didn't mean to insult
No,
anyone
no,
or
that's okay. I
anything.
was wondering, was I at that meeting?
There are other perspectives out there, so I just wanted to give another perspective.
And that's what we want is the feedback, because we don't know what our obstacles are unless they come out, something like this. Thank you for sharing
We
that.
say that
Appreciate
to
it.
our employees too.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Although they don't come forward as much as
Right,
we'd like for them to either. Thank you very much,
You're
Mayor
welcome,
Miller.
Linda.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Ms.
Chair.
Cuthbert. Ms. Burnett?
Thank you. So I have had the opportunity to attend as well, sometimes because I'm a invited guest with my husband, but I know that many a times I've had some other cities reach out to me and invite me to their meetings, which are generally on Tuesdays. So it makes it difficult for us to collaborate and get our voice out there and to have that communication with each other. So I think personally, from my perspective, it's been a good opportunity for me to talk to a few people from Orange City, from South Daytona, from Daytona, from the county council. So it's been a good opportunity for me to meet people when I can't join them at their regularly scheduled meetings, and they can't join us. So that's why I'm in favor of it, just so that we can build those bridges and have better communication and better relationships with the other municipalities. That's my take. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
And doing this presentation. I agree, we all have to learn to work together and share ideas. You know, I'm very thankful right now that I have a great relationship with like the whole city council in DeBerry, and that they did partner with us. And we're getting a new parent pickup loop at DeBerry Elementary, and it's needed for safety, not only for our students, but for safety for the community there, because some of our emergency vehicles couldn't get through, you know, because of the backup and everything. And hopefully Saturday, we're cutting the ribbon on that new loop, and it'll be open next week when students return. But it's so important, I think, that we build relationships and build bridges, because I said for years as a classroom teacher, and whether I was working on a grade level at the elementary school or a subject area at secondary level, when you take, you know, 6 minds and you put them together, the product that you can achieve is so much more successful and better for whoever you're putting that together for than trying to do it on your own. I don't like silos. I think we should all come together. That's why I'm thankful that you came today. I have attended a few of the elected official roundtable, you know, meetings, and we are kind of, you know, overlooked at that. I will be honest with you. But I think basically we've talked about it today, and I think moving forward, we can all work together and build those relationships. And it's not only going to help our students, it's going to help our parents, grandparents, you know, our other community members that may not understand, you know, what's happening in schools, because sometimes we don't tell our own story and we don't tell all of the positive things. We let someone that's disgruntled about something write the narrative for us, and then that's all people see. So, as I said, thank you for coming today, and I like the idea that we can each attend, you know, the meetings and bring someone with us. But I think no matter what, however busy it gets, because there's always something going on at the schools too, we definitely at least have some form of representation. You may not get all 5 or 6 of us plus a guest, but as long as we're there, then we're at the table.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think Dr. Balgobin
No,
has.
she was just testing this system
Oh,
for me.
We
It
were
wasn't working.
used to last
Well, we can go last for her.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that we would, so right now you have 17 members. Would we be the 18th member?
Yes.
Okay, so we wouldn't be under just county government. We would be our own entity as Volusia County Schools.
Yep, you'd have your logo on our page, you know, like every other city, like the county has, it'd be treated exactly the same.
So I had a lot of reservation with this, kind of with the way the communication has gone, which is why I'm grateful and asked for you all to come and join us. But I think, Linda, you really cemented my mind on how I felt about this because, there's a saying, and I use it often, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so the fact that we could be working together, and, I work very closely with the folks in my district, in my area, in my community. Mayor of Orange City is one of our teachers. Now one of
Jerry.
now one of Jamie's teachers. But we have great relationships, but I think if we can, make those relationships better, and the only way you can make it better is by saying, I'm here, present and accounted for. And so I am grateful for you all coming here and explaining what you do. As I said to you earlier, I have no idea what you guys do. And so what, other than the local advantages to having the opportunity to meet folks so that they do know who to reach out to when there is a concern that comes to them. What other benefits do you see for the school district, as you all usually deal with municipal things, not necessarily things that seemingly would affect us? So what are the advantages that you all would bring to the table that we could partake of without feeling extremely out of place?
Well, the majority of what we do are these dinners. That's the opportunity to collaborate. That's the opportunity to tell your story. That's the opportunity to build relationships. I mean, that's the primary thing we do. We have been adding additional things. So we do have a very open board who is listening and wants to know what people are saying and what do we need and that type of thing. So I would say the primary role is that relationship building and the opportunities to form those networks and get to know people. But we do other things. So like I said, if, ethics training, you may offer ethics training yourself. There's online versions, but we have an in-person one. So it's just another opportunity of something to do that. If there is a concern or there is something, we can always, help facilitate taking that to whoever needs to hear it. We do have a relationship with our state level representation. I'm hoping to have, once the elections are over, hoping to have everyone at our December meeting, which is where we do our installation of officers. They often attend that meeting, so it's an opportunity as well. So not sure what type of thing that you're interested in, but if you have something in mind, I'm willing to hear it.
Carol, and not to, but Volusia Days when we go to Tallahassee, I think
Oh,
those
yeah,
are very,
advocacy.
very important, that we get the face of our representatives, and we even meet with some of them outside of Volusia County. If we know someone sponsored a bill, when we say we're here from the Volusia League, we're usually able to get an appointment right away and talk about this is how it will affect our citizens. So it gives us they know our face, they know our name, and we're coming forward on behalf of our residents and our Volusia League members, talking about what we need. So I think the Volusia Days are very
Yeah.
important.
Is there on the state level, is there a program specific to school systems versus municipalities? Are we there yet?
I
So
don't-
the Florida League of Cities takes the lead on the state things. They have their lobbyists and they set their agenda. So I don't know of anything specific to schools other than making sure we're really big. I think our primary message is local decision making, local choices,
Home rule.
local voices, home rule. So I would think that would be applicable to you, and I would say that's probably the leading issue that we have with everything is that local municipalities, school boards are able to make their own decisions. I don't know that, do you know of anything specific to school boards?
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
aware
that's
of
fair.
anything, yeah.
Well, there's opportunity there, I think. I mean, if we're going to encourage, and I'll share with you, I did reach out to our FSBA, Florida School Board Association president, and said, hey, is this a good thing? And her answer was yes. And I value what she has to say because, as we venture into this, I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our students.
Absolutely.
Importantly. So I am supportive of this. I think it's a good thing. I'm definitely willing. I think it's fair to give it a shot. If in a year we see that this membership is not what we thought it would be, we can certainly decide otherwise, but I think it's worth a shot, and I'm supportive of it. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Persis?
Well, I was just thinking that one of the things I would hope that we would be able to do if we joined was at one of the dinner meetings, be able to tell our story.
Oh, absolutely.
I think rolling out our strategic plan or whatever other new initiative that may be coming along, I think it'd be important to, and the cities would appreciate it as well as county government, so that they would feel like they are getting information maybe ahead of others, so that perhaps they could answer questions. And what I could see coming from that, Mr. Chair, would be that through those kinds of efforts, we could perhaps join their lobbying team and they could join ours in terms of, the cities are behind what the school district wants here. The Volusia League of Cities and the Volusia County School Board are like hand in hand. This is going to be good for schools. What's good for schools is good for our cities, and the same vice
A
versa.
united front.
Yeah, and a united front, so that puts even more influence on our legislators when they see, wow, the cities want this, the school board wants it. This is nice. I can remember a time, and I don't know how long the county has been involved with the league, but when I was on the county council, I remember we were feeling the exact same way that you just expressed so eloquently there, that they were like, well, they don't like us, and we're not a city, so why should we belong to the League of Cities? We have a League of Counties. So, so there was all this animosity, and then finally, like, the light bulb comes on, and it's like, well, it's not going to get any better unless we break bread and be nice and get around the same table and start to share. And finally, that's what happened.
Right, and it took a while. I've been the mayor for 4 years too, and the relationship that we have with the county is a lot different than it was when I first took office. So, it takes those steps of doing that and knowing that we're united and we're marching towards the same goal.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
I agree. You hit on maybe a good half of what I wanted to say. We need to be part of one of the first meetings, not just to tell our story, but who we are, and what happens to us. I sit on the Value Adjustment Board. A lot of municipalities don't know what that is. And so when I sit on it, I was sitting next to Billy Wheeler not too long ago. It was last year. And I said, because the county was trying to decide their millage rate, and I made a comment, and I said, do you realize Volusia County Schools millage rate is determined by the state of Florida? We have no fluctuation, and if we did, we'd have to go to the voter. She said, no, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either when you're saying that, Linda. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's completely controlled by the state, and it keepes going back.
We have to
Roll
give you
back.
the opportunity to get that message out.
Yes, and we can't, the ocean, we have to pay for the Ocean Center for graduation. I mean, that's a couple $100,000 when you think about rent and parking and food for people and security from all the cities. Very expensive. They have all that revenue. They also have revenue from the airport. They get a lot of income. I mean, the beaches, all the revenue from the beaches goes to the county. We have no ability to do that. We need to let everybody know that our purse strings are primarily controlled by the state of Florida. We don't have control over it. We also are invasive in all of the municipalities and the county. At the time, I lived in the county. Now I live in a city. I would love to have had water, real water piping into my house for 30 years. I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to when I sold my home and downsized. I had city water. It was delightful. There are a lot of things that we have. The city of I'm in District 3. The city of Edgewater is very upset there's no middle school or high school in their community, only 2 elementaries. There's always been a rivalry between New Smyrna and Port Orange, or who has the better high school, New Smyrna or Port Orange. It's lovely to be able to have that. New Smyrna High School uses the municipal stadium and all the ball fields. We have an interlocal agreement. Spruce Creek High School declined. They have their own stadium. We have a lot of responsibility of keeping our communities harmonious, because all of the citizens in Port Orange and neighboring communities go to that school. As an IB school, there are kids in Daytona Beach Shores who attends the Spruce Creek IB school. You have every reason to want us to be part of you, because we help with your real estate. We help employ a lot of your citizens, whether they're in support, whether they're a media specialist, a teacher, administrator, a truck driver for our fleet. We have a guardian sitting in the back. We have safety and security. We have HR. We have IT. I mean, we are just like you, only we are huge, 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 huge. So I think you all need to know who we are, what makes us up. We just don't go out and we don't ring the bell at a little schoolhouse. Most people assume that's all we do, and that is not the case at all. As Ms. Burnett has told us many times, especially during COVID, it was our buses that went out and fed our kids. All of our school children this year, all of them will be fed free breakfasts and free lunches. It keeps your families healthy and working. So we have a huge integral part to play. Hope Place in Daytona is in existence because we sold Hearst Elementary to the county, which built Hope Place. The property in which the new Veterans Center in Daytona, up on just north of LPGA on Williamson, that was school board property that we sold less money to a gentleman because he wanted the grant in order to build that Veterans Center. We open up our schools for hurricane shelters, and there's a tropical wave out there again. We're the ones who mobilize all of that. And now we are opening up our schools as we did 2 years ago as precincts. So we contribute a great deal to the county. I think we would like to be recognized for all that hard work, because a lot of people say public schools, everything needs to be free. And we can't afford for everything to be free, because when we were approached for the property at Hearst Elementary, they wanted it free. We can't give away property. You wouldn't give away property. So it's very important that, I guess I brought a unique point of view, but it was one that desperately needed to be told, so you understood our value and that we love what we do. I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't be a mayor. I don't understand sanitation. I just, all the pipes, I'm going to the city of New Smyrna's city commission meeting next week, because we're not meeting next Tuesday, they are. And because the traffic light is up for them to support their third. But it was nice. I looked at their workshop and I go, I don't get this. I don't understand. And 3 of us are educators. We do what we do. I think Ms. Burnett and Mr. Colon are better prepared, the business side. So I'm so glad you do what you do, because it's something we don't, at least I don't understand. So hopefully we will rely on you. If your first meeting is in December, I'd like to be somebody's guest if you all go. If you don't have a date, I would like to go, just so I can see your wonderful new forward action in action. So.
And Linda, all I can say is you're sharing a message right now that I had no idea about. So I can take it back, but probably to only a limited amount. So that's what has to happen. Your message has to get out, and it has to be at one of our dinners that all 16 cities are there, and at least a representative from those cities, so the message gets out. Because if I didn't know it, I'm sure they didn't know it either. So
I'm
thank you
quite
for
sure.
sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, Billy Wheeler, I couldn't believe the look on her
she's
face.
a very
She
dear
had
friend of mine.
No idea.
Daytona Beach Shores.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're more than hotels along A1A, I'm quite sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr.
Ms. Burnett?
Chairman.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask one more thing. When does the new year start? I know you had mentioned that we would be invited through the rest of this current season,
Yeah.
but
So we work on a calendar year, so it's January through
Okay.
December. So the new term, I'd be happy to just continue to we have 2 meetings left, September and December. Be happy to just invite everyone as guests for the rest of this year, and then the new membership would start in January.
and Dr. B would also be part of the
Absolutely.
the
And
crew.
even,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
and, you know, like I said, we invite, it's up to you kind of to determine who is your membership.
Okay.
So if you wanted to bring your attorney, if you wanted to bring your clerk, I'm sorry about the names, whoever you thought, you know, would benefit from the situation,
Okay,
we're happy to have them as members.
thank you.
Any other questions?
I think I've said enough.
I don't agree with that. Said keep it short today, so I'm working on it. Very good. Well, thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you for having
Hey,
us
let me
today.
just throw one thing out there, just
Throw
in
it.
case you're interested. But if you do decide to do this, once you vote on it and we can talk, you know, get the membership going, I'd like to invite everybody to come to our December meeting. That is where we elect our new officers and that type of thing. And we would be able to, as part of the program, introduce you. That wouldn't be a speaking opportunity, but it would be an opportunity to put everybody on the stage, introduce you, and kind of get you out there when we have a high attendance for that
Yeah, I'm not
meeting.
even sure, like, for instance, the last meeting, we were there. So I'm not, I mean, they introduced us from Volusia County School Board. They said our names. I went, oh. And then I thought, well, I think I was there, because I had an Ormond Beach name tag on, because I was a guest.
Oh, right,
I
right.
was a guest, so were you were there as a
I was there as a guest as well.
the guest. We were there as guests, so Ormond Beach was paying. I'm saying Ormond Beach paying, but like all of us would, we get so many slots. I guess I don't know how else to say it. And then they invite that, like for instance, Port Orange. They would decide, the city manager. I don't know who is it, the mayor. They decide how many are going to go. Is that
Well,
happens?
we kind of leave the your individual membership, who you want to include, to be invited up to the individual cities or the school board.
Okay.
Some cities pay the $40 for their employees to attend, and they pay that, and then the individuals pay their guest. So
Okay.
the whole thing is an RSVP system through our website, and so some cities go in and just pay all their employees. Some pay for the guest and then they reimburse them. Others just pay directly. So it's up to you how you want to handle that portion. So we don't have a limit, we have to be
Right.
reasonable, but, all of you would be invited. And then if you felt there were a couple other people you wanted to include,
Okay.
that would be fine.
Okay.
So Carl, right now for the shores, our city pays for the elected official, the city manager, and any of our management teams. So like our police chief, our HR director, community services, we pay as a city for those. And then if you want to bring a guest, like when I bring my husband, I have to pay the extra $40. So
Got
that's
it.
how it works,
Got
if that
Okay.
helps.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah. I
So
guess
you-
everyone's doing it a little bit differently, so that's fine.
Thank you.
So at the last meeting, you and Miss Burnett were there as the first ladies.
That's it.
First gentleman,
it.
sorry, you know what I meant. Very good. Does anybody else have any questions? Again, thank you so much, and I think this is on our agenda. No, it's not on our next, it's not on the agenda tonight, but we'll get that on our next agenda, and we'll make it happen.
Great.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you
We
very much
appreciate
for the
having you.
opportunity. If you have any questions in the meantime, please, I'm pretty easy to find
Yeah.
in Daytona Beach Shore. So please reach out to me if you thought, oh, I forgot to ask that question, and I'm sure Karen's available too.
Ms. Cuthbert?
And thank you for allowing me to be very frank. It was nice, because I recognize you, Mayor
Here, and
Miller.
Linda, you probably don't remember, I remember exactly where I met you at the Advent opening on the corner. Do you
Yes,
remember that?
in Port
And I
Orange,
think you were
yes.
just finishing treatment, and we were
Yes.
kind of talking about that, so I definitely
Yeah,
remember you.
yeah.
Well, that sounds
my
like a
hat
great
days.
day at a great place,
Right,
without
yeah.
a doubt.
Definitely my hat days. But thank you for allowing me to be
What
so
are you gonna
frank.
do with him?
That's
And
the
being
only
so
reason, yeah,
accepting, so accepting, so thank you.
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Very
Thank
good.
you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Board, I say we keep going. Do we need a break? Are we good to keep going?
Keep going.
Keep
We'll
going.
keep going. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Human Resources, Access and Opportunity Presentation, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to call Ms. Rachel Hazel, our Deputy Soup for Teaching, Leading, and Learning, along with Mr. Wes, our Chief of HR. As you know, this is a report that's submitted to our this DOE on an annual basis, precisely pretty much in the month of September it's submitted. And it's really examining and looking at our strategic plan and looking at our 5 goals. And looking at those 5 goals in terms of subgroups, ethnicity, and ensuring that we are providing not just access and opportunities, but also that we're leveraging our resources accordingly so that we can meet the diverse needs of our students and staff. This report, will, like I said, will be submitted in the month of September, but we wanted to give you a high-level overview of what will be submitted to the state this year. Ms. Hazel?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Superintendent Balgobin. Good afternoon, Chairman Colon and board members. I am pleased to present you with our annual report. And this is really all about access and opportunity, and that's what we as an organization are here for. We want to provide access and opportunity for all of our students and really all of our employees, all of our stakeholders. We want everybody to have the opportunity to be what they want to be. And so this report has a lot of numbers in it. I'm going to try to take you beyond the numbers and talk to you about some of the things that we've updated, what we're doing well, and where our opportunities for growth are. That's okay. So just a little background. This is an annual report. It's simply a tool that is used and turned into the Florida Department of Education to ensure that the provisions of the FFEA are adhered to. The Department of Education, specifically their Office of Equal Educational Opportunity, is assigned the responsibility for compliance and oversight of this report, and we turn this in on an annual basis. It's just a reporting tool. It will be turned in September. That's why on the first slide it said September of 2022. We're not trying to fast forward time or miss any time, but that's when it is turned in. It doesn't require approval, but it does require a presentation to our board. These are the topics that are covered by the report. And again, we're going to dig a little bit deeper in this presentation and cover more than just these specific categories, but these are what we are required to turn in. Student participation, gender equity in athletics, employment equity, single-sex schools and classes, and pregnant and parenting classes are the required reports. Some of our bigger highlights for this past year, and again, this is lagging data, so this would be based on information from last year. But we do see an increase in student participation numbers and percentages for AP, IB, and ACE courses. And coincidentally, I was looking at the report from last year, and we had the same thing. So we are steadily increasing in both of that. Was a highlight from last year. When you compare it from 2017 and look at a 3-year total, the enrollment percentages for our minority students, specifically our black students, increased from 9% to 15%. So it's a pretty big jump. And our Hispanic enrollment percentages increased from 13 to 19% for the same period. Taylor Middle High School and Mainland are compliant in all 9 components of our gender equity and athletics. All of our schools are on track to become compliant because their JV teams are. So that just takes some time to work through as those teams move up. Then for employment equity, 16% of the student population is categorized as black. Our principals, assistant principals, and guidance counselors met or exceeded that number, and I'll show you a breakdown of those numbers in just a minute. One of the things that I will say probably several times throughout this presentation is that when we look at employment percentages, our employee ethnicity specifically, that's a self-reported category. So while the number is as accurate as is reported, when employees register with our district and are given the orientation, that is when they report their ethnicity. There has been an increased focus on diversity in our recruitment department, which I'm sure Mr. West will touch on. And then for single-sex schools and classes, all of our classes are co-ed. We do not have any of those to report. And there have been no changes in our pregnant and parenting student classes. So let's dig a little bit deeper beyond just what we reported and what those numbers mean. And to do this, we really want to look at how we service our subgroups through the lens of our strategic plan. And if we start with goal 1, just as a reminder, that includes high quality instruction, where we want to engage all students in high levels of learning every day. Just as a reminder, these are our metrics of success. This is not necessarily broken down by subgroups, but I will give you that information in just a minute. So if you'll remember, one of our highlights was that we have increased areas and opportunities for our students to participate in our higher upper level courses, including AP, IB, our ACE courses, our dual enrollment courses, and our honors courses. So you can see specifically broken down by ethnicity and subgroups. We have increased in all areas the opportunities for our students to participate in those higher level courses. So that's very good news. This is our evidence of success for those higher level courses. The evaluation shows an increase in enrollment percentages in all level 3 courses for Hispanic and Hispanic male students in grades 9 through 12. From 2017 to 2018 school year to this past year, our Hispanic enrollment increased from 57% to 61%, and Hispanic male enrollment increased from 54% to 58%. Another highlight was the increase in our Black student enrollment from the Black student enrollment slightly decreased, and that mirrored our numbers as far as what we had population-wise as well. And then our English language learners enrolled in a level 3 course, they remained the same from 43%, so we've had a steady enrollment there. Then I want to talk a little bit about dual enrollment. And as you know, when we think about opportunity, dual enrollment is an amazing opportunity for our students to get that college coursework under their belt and get college credits before they leave. So you will see that overall, we had our whites and white males decrease slightly, but our other areas that increased or remained very close to the same were all of our other subgroups. One thing I do want you to know, though, is that when we look at our college and career readiness rate, it's at 69%. We had 170 students graduate from Daytona State College with an AA degree. The previous slide showed our enrollment, but this shows our finishers, the ones who actually already achieved their degree. And because of the graduation schedule, they had their AA degree before they got their high school diploma conferred. And that was up about 40 students from our previous year. We have 41 students enrolled in the ATC for the fall of 2022, and they'll have the opportunity to complete courses in automotive collision, construction, culinary, and welding. I also want to talk a little bit about some opportunities that we're providing through CTE. We have our Workforce Academy venture partnership with Daytona State. That is the enhancement of 2 of our workforce education programs, including the teaching and learning and cybersecurity. That's a grant that Daytona State is partnering with us. We have the Pathways Grant for $531,000, which was awarded for the HVAC program at Pine Ridge High School, which launched in the fall of 2021. We had over 160 students sign up for that grant. The Pathways Grant for $567,000 for the electrical program, which was a 4-year program that's awarded at Mainland High School. That will begin this next year, and a 2-year program at Taylor Middle High School with the opportunity to be a part of the official pre-apprenticeship. And then finally, our Pathways Grant for $400,000 for an automotive program at Atlantic High School, which is a new program coming on. we think about our ELL population, and I know this is one particularly dear to Dr. Balgobin's heart, our dual language program will be starting at two schools, Holly Hill K-8 and Spirit Elementary will both have dual language programs. And I'm very happy to report, I just got the numbers yesterday, those programs are at capacity. And at Spirit Elementary, there is a waiting list, so that's pretty exciting. And then we have, when we think about opportunity, we're not just talking about those students who are more fragile learners, but we're also talking about making sure that all students' potential is reached. So that includes our gifted screeners. And you can see the numbers for the gifted screeners, but I also want you to know that as a district, we've committed to servicing these students and expanding our gifted programs into other schools, where before we had a model where students might have to travel to other schools to receive their gifted services. With this expansion, that won't always be the case. They can receive services, and we're also expanding opportunities for our students who were previously considered Plan B. Those opportunities will also be advanced. And then I wanted to show you this chart, not because I expect you to be able to read those numbers, but I always like a good color-coded chart. This is our SS subgroup data from the last FSA assessment. And what this, so just like most heat maps, the blue and green are really, really good. The yellows are performing right along, making a steady increase, and then the reds are where we need to focus more of our attention. What I really want to point out is that center column, which is our math lower quartile. And you can see that with the exception of one ethnicity group, which is a very smaller population that we have in our county, all of our SS subgroups are improving in the math lowest quartile tremendously. We also have a lot of blue to celebrate in our middle school acceleration, and our science achievement is also quite good, and our other areas are really holding their own. So we're very proud of the work that our subgroups have done, and when you break that down on our FSA assessments. So our next steps in Goal 1 are this year, we're implementing our interdisciplinary teaming for middle schools. I know Ms. Core is very excited about seeing that happen. We've front-loaded so much professional learning, some collaboration with our union partners, and our teachers are ready to start the teaming process. We're going to continue to implement AVID, the expansion of our VPK programs, and then in our ELL monitoring process. And then, of course, we're very, very proud of the dual language programs at Holly Hill and Spirit, which are at capacity. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. West for Goal 2.
Thank you,
Do we
Rachel.
want to stop there for questions? I don't know if anybody has any questions, because I know we're moving on to the next, which is staff. Does anybody have any questions on the student side of it?
I think I did. I circled something, but I can wait till the end.
Okay, all right. Hearing none, we'll keep going.
I'll be doing Goal 2 and Goal 4, so we're going back and forth. So here we go. Goal 2, of course, is high-quality staff, to recruit, retain, and develop our high-quality staff. So, of course, a cohesive recruitment system is critical there, making sure that we're actually developing our leadership, as well as our teachers, by having a strong professional learning system, and focusing on providing actionable, meaningful feedback to our teachers to make sure, and our principals to make sure that they are improving constantly. So you're familiar with this slide. These are our goals that have been put in place, our metrics of success. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and where we've come. Here are the numbers of how it breaks down. We still have some work to do in our recruitment for diversity. However, we are getting closer and closer to that overall number of representation from our students. You will notice that our student demographics are 16% Black students, 22% Hispanic, 54% white, 8% other, And under our staff, down at the bottom there, you'll see 12.25% are black, 11.25% are Hispanic, and 73% are white. So we are always in 3.5% are other. So we are always striving to recruit our diverse applicants as much as possible as well.
And the gender too.
Yes, ma'am, and our gender as well. You'll
Well,
notice
and one
we
thing to point out there too is our leadership demographics are meeting or exceeding that number. So while once we get them in the door, we are definitely helping to develop and grow our professionals, but we want to keep getting them in the door.
Absolutely. Good point. And part of that recruitment effort, which you've seen some of these before, is our National Minority Update publication that we are in quarterly. We obviously are connecting with our colleges and university, including our historically black and Hispanic universities as well. We're recruiting candidates who mirror the demographics of students at our schools. We have our diversity career fair that we have. Of course, we're using Ed Week, Top Schools Job Fair. That's on an ongoing basis. We have the FIU Career Fair and Colleges of Central Florida Career Consortium, as well as Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, and Florida Fund for Minority Teacher Symposium as well. We are involved in the Florida Career Center statewide job fair, which is more generic, and our Southern Alliance Career Fair. Christy's been doing a phenomenal job. There she is in the back. A phenomenal job of making sure that we have ongoing recruitment as well, using our external sites, job posting and advertising. We've gotten a lot of good recommendations from some of you as well in using our social media, as well as making these partnerships with our online partners. And in regards to retention, Christy's office also is in charge of our new teacher induction program. So that's the part that not only do we try to hook them, but we try to keep them, okay? So the goal there is to acclimate our new teachers to the school district policies, curriculum apps, instructional materials, digital platform, and not just acclimate them, but to give them support throughout the entire year so that they can feel that support around them and make sure that we're building an environment where they feel safe. We have school-based induction teams as well, which I know that has come from a number of you as recommendations to support our new teachers on campuses. We have monthly meetings. We have activities to onboard our new team members constantly. We also have collaboration with our community information team to make sure that we're increasing our employee incentives and publicizing that as much as possible. We have a number of celebrations throughout the year where I actually go out to every school and deliver service pins, of course, to our more veteran teachers. We have our first year Teacher of the Year and also, of course, our regular Teacher of the Year events that we partner with the Futures Foundation with. The Superintendent's Outstanding Achievement Award that we partner with the Futures Foundation with, and our annual retirement celebration as well. So that is goal 2. Pass it back to Rachel for goal 3.
Thank you. Keep going through. Okay. All right. Goal 3 is all about a safe and supportive environment, and this is up there with academics. This is a student goal. This is all about our students and how do we provide that safe and supportive environment. Won't go over our metrics again, but you can see that they have to do with suspensions, chronic absenteeism, some increase of healthy referrals, and a feeling of safety within the schools. And I won't go too much into the safety aspect. I don't want to steal Chief Newman's thunder for later, but we'll talk a little bit about what we have done to increase our security. So some of the highlights when we look at goal 3 is that we have implemented a bullying task force. We've developed and implemented the discipline matrix, which has been presented. Much of this has been presented to you all before, a procedure for suspensions and monitoring those suspensions, particularly, and this is not just a number of we've suspended this many students in Volusia County Schools. This really digs down to the individual student, and we're monitoring how many times an individual student has and whether or not that's the most appropriate avenue for that student. All middle schools are implementing restorative practices teams. Our counselors have received professional development. We have mental health trainings. Our Centegix alert, crisis alert badges are available to every employee, so assistance is just the press of a button away. And we've implemented virtual and face-to-face threat assessment team monthly meetings. And our threat assessment teams are a very robust process, and they have certainly a proactive approach to concerns that we've had. When we think about our specific community needs, specifically the 32114 initiatives that we've put into place, as you know, we have a specialist that is tasked with a community liaison for the 32114 area, and that position is being advertised right now. We'll be getting community involvement to hire the next specialist for that. And as Turi T is being rebuilt and we're repurposing that building, we're looking for a way to give back to the community as well with that building. We have community outreach scholarships. Our stock take process provides us a way to monitor this. And then for our students with special needs populations, Ben Springer, our behavioral consultant, has been working with our principals and schools to ensure that we have behavioral support at the school level.
Of course, goal 4 is our operational goal and resources. And of course, our three main parts here for goal 4 is technology and how we are supporting our schools with our technological resources. Making sure that we have operational efficiency across the district, and to reallocate our revenue and expenditures in alignment with our strategic priorities. So of course, those are the divisions of our technology, operations, and finance. So our metrics of success are the same there. We're using our KPIs, or key performance indicators, to track the kind of data that we have going on and the highlights there. And what we have specifically got honed in on, particularly in the areas of access and opportunity, is that within the 32114 area, we're working directly with community leadership to determine, as Rachel mentioned before, the primary repurposing of Turi T Small, and working on getting that facility up and running. We have incorporated in our 5-year capital plan that our 18 school projects in the 5-year plan, 7 of the 18 are minority majority schools, and 16 out of 18 are over 50% economically disadvantaged. So we're definitely trying to pour our resources where they are needed. We're encouraging our minority and women-owned businesses in the procurement services process, and our technology is benefiting, of course, all of our students with our one-to-one program, and specifically we're providing our supports to our lower socioeconomic areas for the aspect of having one-to-one for those students as well. And finally, everybody needs to get fed. So what we are focusing on is looking to receive free school and breakfast lunch programs, and Heather is working towards getting that with our Schoolway Cafe programs.
And just before we move to goal 5, when we're talking about the direct certification program, and that board you're all familiar with, we made the decision on at the very end of June, very beginning of July, to move forward with the program that would provide free lunch and breakfast for all of our students. And that certainly is a huge opportunity for access to food for our students. But beyond that, I wanted to talk to you and just give you a little bit of an update and information about where we are with the forms. We've been receiving a lot of questions about, so now do I need to fill out my free and reduced lunch form, and how does that impact my school? parents do not need to fill out a free and reduced lunch form anymore. That information is directly taken from the services that they access in the community. That it's a direct certification, and that's how the schools qualify for free and reduced lunch. Now, what that means for students is that every student gets free and reduced lunch, so there's no form to fill out. A school's Title I status, not for this school year, because last school year we had free and reduced lunch forms, but for subsequent school years after the 22-23 school year, a school's Title I status would be determined based on the number of direct certified students that they have in their campus. And we get that information directly from our local municipality, I can't think of the name of it, but we get it directly from those who are accessing services in the community. So we will get that information. Now, I do want to talk to you because we have researched several other districts. And as far as our own services that we provide that were dependent upon free and reduced lunch status previously, we have access to all the students who are a direct certification student. But there is a process that we will be implementing for income verification for those who may not be accessing services in their community. In other words, they're not a recipient of food stamps, but they previously qualified for free or reduced lunch, and the services that went along with that, for example, reduced extended day services, scholarship opportunities. There are several things that students used a free or reduced lunch status for in order to access services within our county. We will have our own system of income verification, which will simply be a form that they can fill out, and we are working through a process to verify that, to flag those students. However, there is no free or reduced form application that will need to be filled out. That would just be an income verification.
Ms. Haynes, you have a question? I saw you tap the screen, but it hasn't been working.
I did tap it. It didn't pop up.
It did, and I saw you tap it. Like you just went like all the way across to tap it, and it didn't do anything. So, Ms. Haynes?
Okay, so, on this community eligibility program, I was in Title I years ago when we looked at it, and at that time, and we ran the numbers, it was going to be detrimental to some of our highest poverty schools for a variety of reasons. Because the biggest push at that point was who was getting food stamps. And we have some families that can't access food stamps for a variety of reasons, specifically in certain areas of District 1. So I know now, though, that, it's well over, like, it's almost hitting 60 of the districts out of the 67 in Volusia, in the state of Florida, have gone to this. And you know my feelings. I want every child to be fed. I never want a child to be hungry. So bringing up that piece, my understanding is they have changed, some of this so that we won't be leaving those students out. Because as you said, we've got families using them for scholarship opportunities, for extended day, reduced fees. They're also getting them for vouchers to take, tests that they need to look at for going into college or universities or even some of the trade programs and everything. So what I really want to know, and I knew you probably wouldn't have the answer yet today, I want us to be very proactive on this piece, because we used to collect the 100-day school data typically the end of January 1st of February, and that's why we're good for this year. That's why. But what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see us behind the 8 ball and Pearson Elementary is no longer going to get the Title I dollars in a similar fashion to what they've been receiving, or that Stark Elementary is not going to get them. So what I'd really like to see, and I don't know how my other colleagues feel about this, but no later than end of September, 1st of October, I'd like to know what is our plan and how we're going to convey that. Because I do think right now I see a lot of chatter on social media where parents are concerned about losing these resources. So I think we need to convey some kind of a very clear message out that this year is based on the data collected from last year, and have some kind of a timeline of when we're going to share, because it's hard to get that information, whatever it is we're going to ask parents to fill out or submit or whatever. I just don't want to be behind the 8 ball and we're scrambling, and then we've got some of our highest poverty schools not receiving the Title I dollars that they have been used to receiving, or the percentage that they've been used to receiving, because that's going to impact the schools and the resources and the staffing that they have.
Right, so just to clarify, because I want to talk, I think we might be we're talking about two very different, there's the benefits and resources that the individual student receives, like a discount on extended day or a scholarship opportunity, and then there's the benefits that the schools themselves as a whole receive. And so when we're talking about this, and yes, we are going to be working with the communications department to put something out this week, because students are coming back and filling out all their forms this week. But we wanted to present to the board first and make sure that we're following the same process. Title I status moving forward, and we'll be able to give you those numbers by the end of September for sure, because we've got to get those first counts in, will look a little different based on direct certification and how many are directly certified. To be very honest, Ms. Roman has pulled some preliminary numbers. She's still continuing to do that, and she's we're researching other districts and how they've distributed their funds. It won't mean that less schools qualify for Title I funds, but it may mean that a few more do qualify for Title I funds. But Ms. Haynes is exactly right. That pot doesn't get bigger. It changes how those funds are distributed. So we will have those numbers available for you at the end of September. When we talk about what individual students qualify for, if they are not eligible for community assistance, or we know who those students are, and we are able to pull letters. I saw a tweet by Schoolway Cafe where they had big boxes of, we're sending out these mailers and this is your direct certification letter. Those letters are what would have been our free and reduced lunch form. What we're trying to do is establish a procedure for those students who we have identified, I think about 6,000 students who filled out the free and reduced lunch form and qualified for free or reduced lunch based on their family size and income, but maybe didn't qualify for public assistance. But need those advantages. What we don't want to do is take away any opportunity for any student or any advantage that we previously gave them. So that's the process that we're establishing, and those are the students that would need to have their income verified with us through a process. We've pulled some forms from several other districts and are just narrowing down what we would want to include on that form.
Thank you. You still have the floor, Ms. Haynes.
Okay, all right, so back to what you said though, about, okay, number one, here's my thing on Title I dollars. We can't water them down to the point that they don't actually do anything, because there is a huge difference between a school that is 96% poverty, okay, and a school that is 57% poverty. And you may say, well, no, there's really not. Oh, yes, there is. And I've got a former principal from a very high poverty elementary school sitting over there that will tell you, when we water down those funds, because we go, okay, instead of because in 2008 we served 26 schools, okay, and they got substantial amount of money. Well, then, fast forward after we went through that first recession at that time, we saw schools that had never been Title I all of a sudden becoming Title I. Well, yes, they became Title I, but they were a different type of Title I school than a 96% or a 99% of the kids being on free and reduced lunch. And so we can't water it down and go, okay, we're just gonna keep bringing more schools on, because the pot of money we even receive now is not what we used to receive. We used to receive 25 to 26 million, and we're now looking at 18 million. Well, when you water it down, we're not because the whole idea is, when you're looking at every kid, but maybe one sitting in a classroom is on free lunch, that's different than when you're looking at 10 of the students in the classroom are on free lunch. So that was my only hesitation. I wanted the free breakfast and free lunch, but that was my only hesitation of going with this, because there are families out there that cannot accept public assistance.
Well,
And
oh, I don't mean to. Okay.
and I don't want the money watered down, and I don't want children left out of the services. And I'm just gonna say it, I don't want Pearson Elementary to receive a whole lot less funding than what they've been receiving, because those students can't access public assistance. And then Edgewater gets the money because they've got kids that can, but it's really a smaller percentage of children.
So, couple of things in response to that. Mrs. Roman is actively researching right now different methodologies of how to distribute the Title I money. So we will definitely pick the most advantageous and keep the board updated on the most advantageous with that philosophy in mind. But the other piece that I wanted to add to that is that what those dollars really represent, or what we can provide to students and what the services that we can provide to students are. So another good thing about this not being in effect for another year is that it gives us time to strategically look at all of our fund sources, all of our grant sources, to make sure that any impact that we have, we can mitigate with other fund sources to ensure that those students receive, don't lose any services. And that's one of the reasons for those 6,000 students, we want to do an income verification, because we don't want them to lose an opportunity in exchange for free and reduced lunch. Sometimes it's just looking at taking a step back and looking at the overall big picture. But we definitely hear you, and we will, as Ms. Roman is researching different methodologies to see how can we make sure that we maintain the integrity of our Title I program, and that it's used for the purpose that it was intended to be used for. Our demographics as a county have changed significantly, and there is more need than ever. And I agree with you. I remember those early discussions and the very reason why we didn't participate. And now that we are participating, it's just because that need for food outweighed the other challenges.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett.
Thank you. I just had one question. On the form that you were talking about for the reduced extended day, would that be for next school year? So it would be for this school year?
Right.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't use the free and reduced lunch form
Right.
anymore, because it really has nothing to do with lunch. It has to do with accessing and identifying as a student who's living in the poverty level.
Because I've seen chatter about that as well as, and I think some of our own staff maybe doesn't understand the process that we're doing yet either, the chatter that I've seen.
Yeah, we're going to roll out some communication. We wanted to present this with you all first, and let you all know the route that we're taking to identify those who may need assistance. But it's very important that we know that it's not going, there has been a message for many years that fill out the free and reduced lunch
Right.
form, it helps my school. And that's not really the case anymore, because the decision for free or reduced lunch or Title I funding doesn't come from that form.
And going back to something that we started at the beginning of the summer with the free and reduced meals, with school being back in session, they'll obviously be here to get that. But during the Christmas break, holiday, whatever break we're at, is this going to affect that they have to be at the school to receive those meals then as well? Like it was because over the summer, they had to actually come to the campus twice to receive their meals.
Just during the summer.
It was just during summer? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So the decision to go with the community assessment for free and reduced lunch wasn't something that we did. In fact, I found out about it on Facebook. And hearing now, and I'm not saying that I'm in favor of it or not. I think we had mastered getting the free and reduced form from parents during the pandemic when food was free. And so we were able to maintain our Title I because they did a good job, even though the food was free, tying in, please fill out the form, pick up your laptop, fill out the form. I think, it's a little late now, but I think the methodology, and one thing that was interesting is that all my elementary schools required, were Title I schools, yet as the students got older, they didn't fill out the lunch form as often, and so our high schools and middle schools struggled to stay Title I, where our elementary schools, and so you and I all know that the students don't get richer as they get older. They just don't fill out the form, and I think that during the pandemic, that was something that our schools mastered. They were able to get their parents to fill out the forms even though the food was free. I agree with Ms. Haynes. I think about communities, so now we're basing it on, food stamps. We're basing it on community access to Medicaid. We're basing it on that. And as we know, there are pockets in our county who can't access those. They're not eligible. And so that is also of concern. So I'd be curious to see right now, based on the current eligibility, how many students participate, where we would land if we use the same methodology. In other words, would Deltona Lake still be eligible for the same level as Title I, or do we need to continue to pursue gathering that information? Would Edgewater Public fall out because of it? Would Pearson fall out? What do we see as being the current state and future state based on that community needs? Would a school like Timbercrest that's in a more affluent area of Deltona, would they see less dollars as a result of their lack of accessing the community needs? Or how does that work? Or do we need to continue to collect the forms to have that alternative way of demonstrating the need in our communities? So please correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so
Please do.
I will.
Please do.
I will. So this was presented as part of a one-on-one with each board member, and you might remember it being termed a little differently, but it was the presentation that was presented as far as the impact on Title I schools. And no school will lose Title I funding. Well, they're not going to lose Title I status. In fact, by going to this program, 12 additional schools would qualify under the current methodology.
For the same amount of dollars, meaning and that goes to Mrs. Haynes' point. And so you have $10 in the I'll call it the kitty, but you have $10 in the piggy bank. Now you're dividing that $10 up amongst 22 schools and not 10 schools.
So it's a per pupil allocation based on the federal money that we get for Title I has never been dependent on a free and reduced lunch form. The free and reduced lunch form, it has always been dependent on what your demographics of your area are. We don't turn that into the federal government as far as like how our Title I money comes in. What was dependent was how we divided that same pot of money that we got. By going to direct certification, the DOE approval through Title I will look at our direct certification and it will add schools. It will not take away any schools. We would have more schools qualify. What we're talking about with Ms. Roman doing is investigating, because what DOE does is they say, okay, there's several different methodologies that you can use for how you divvy up your Title I funds and how that gets approved. What we're asking Ms. Roman to do is to go through and investigate and run several different scenarios to see which would be the most advantageous. Prior to that, we used our free and reduced lunch.
Right, so if I'm a student, like, so now we're going based on the student's eligibility. So if I am a student who, so we're talking there's $10 in the pot, and now you've told me I can access extended day, let's say, as a student, right? Because you said we send out individual eligibility letters to students, correct?
Correct.
So now I'm going to access extended day because now I've been told that I can. Does that come out of that same $10?
No.
It does not, okay.
No, that's a district-based decision. Extended day is a service that we offer, and based on the student's status, we have reduced the tuition for it, but it doesn't come out of the Title, it's not supplemented by Title I funds.
Have we also done that for our teachers who partake in extended day, that I know just recently upped it? So extended day, they used to get a discount on it, correct me if I'm wrong.
We didn't change the structure of that.
So they still are eligible for a discount for extended day? Okay. I'd be curious to see, again, we knew the plus side of the food. We knew that. That's a plus. We agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't know that we understood the what was pretty in the bow was great. I think the challenge is making sure that, the schools who need the help are now, because just like Ms. Haynes said, I don't want the same $10 now to go to 22 people when there's 10 who are truly struggling, and now everybody gets 78 cents because it's equal, not equitable. And I think that's the term that I would focus on, is we want it to be equitable, not equal, because equal, and Dr. Balgobin's ready to say something, so
Yes.
please do.
So, Chair, there are three methodologies, and don't question me what the names are right now, but there are three.
It's an acronym, I'm sure.
Prior to CEP, one of the methodologies that we utilize, based on the point that you've made and you made, that equal is not fair, right, is a ranking order for PPE. So per pupil allocation, you would look at the order. So for example, I'm just going to make up something here. Spirit Elementary, 98%. So 98%, you're looking at 98% of the students. What does that equate to in terms of numbers, right? And if we're looking at 444 extra per student, making up numbers here, what does that come up to? And it goes in that ranking order. So one of the discussions that we had, you're absolutely right, is that we want to make sure that we're looking at a methodology that's going to be very fair to the because, how many of us have been Title I principals or have worked in Title I schools, so we know those needs. It's very intense, right? So we're going to ensure that the methodology selected is being fair, and since we have three that I know of, we're going to pick the one that's going to ensure fairness. And in addition to that, we're going to look at some of the districts that are CEPs also, and that they've been CEPs for a while, and look at what their processes are and ensure that we have a system in place that's going to provide both. So that's in the process. In about a week from now, I'll give you all an update, and then we will have a communication strategy and plan that will be going out. But point well noted from both of you.
Thank you. And then the other part, so going back to the actual presentation, I shared with Dr. B over the weekend, you all were gracious enough to come to Deltona's backpack giveaway. And I'll share with the board that, and I said this the last time, the days of people coming to us are over. At the center, Schoolway Cafe had a little QR code on their table, and they were able to share with parents the opportunities in working in our schools, the benefits. And I will tell you that I saw so many people saying, "Oh, that's great." And that was us going to them. It's going to where they were. It's going to the community. It's going in there, because guess what? They're not coming to our website. They pump gas, and Buc-ee's says we're paying $600 an hour today. exaggerating because I don't know what it is, but everybody makes it sound like it's $600 an hour. And so it was very interesting to see that. I'm not even, if you want to hear my thoughts on the equity report, go back to the last 3 years. I'm not even going back there again. I just will say, and I'm grateful that, and hopeful that we will do things that are different because, again, this is Groundhog Day for me. The things that we have traditionally done are showing some growth, but not significant growth, and I think there's opportunity there. Numbers are great, and we have several folks from our community that remind us all the time that while the numbers are great, there's still opportunity, and I've had significant conversation with Dr. B, and that we need to truly examine. I was asked at one of the interviews, what do you believe we need to do to make things equal, equitable, whatever the word you want to use in our district? And I really didn't have an answer. I said, we have to start off by realizing where we are right now. What is it like to be Latino in Volusia County? How does it feel? What is it like to be an African American in Volusia County? How does that feel? Until we understand where our challenges are, we can come up with reports, we can come up with numbers, we can come up with strategies, but until you understand what it's like or what it feels like from those folks who are living it every single day, and I'll go there because I do it all the time, to see some of our African American folks come up, and their opportunity probably should have been 10 years ago, because a lot of folks who just got here have gotten the opportunity, and everything's in God's timing nonetheless. But I think that understanding that and where the opportunity is huge, because I don't know that we've ever done that. We've never said how did it feel to get passed over 5 times? How did it feel to never have the opportunity to be taught to be a data person because you were too busy doing discipline? And so I think there's opportunity there. So again, I'm grateful for you all presenting the report. I've shared my thoughts with Dr. Balgobin as it relates to some of the real things that we confront as a district. And again, I'm hopeful as always. And as far as the students go, I was sad to see the African American student number go down, but I will, in the words of Miss Ida Wright, what do the people who are telling these students you can look like look like? Do they look like them? Are the folks who are inviting these students into the IB program, do they look like them? Do they look like them in being able to say, you can do this? I know you can. I don't know the answer to that question, but it's important because that's how we're going to grow it. So I'll leave that there. As far as the sports go, I'm excited that I'd be curious to learn what we're doing to meet that requirement. I don't think we've ever met it except for a couple of schools. I know there's flag football now, which is gaining more popularity other than being called powder puff is what they used to call it.
One thing are the girls volleyball sand courts.
Yeah, the
Girls,
beach volleyball.
that's right.
Volleyball.
That's exciting. And so I'd be curious to hear how we plan, more importantly, for each school. For me, I mean, at least how does Pine Ridge, how does Deltona High plan on meeting that? So I'd be curious to learn about that. And that's it. I'm quiet. Ms. Haynes.
So since you went back to the part that you were just talking about, I had some thoughts on that part too. We have made some progress, especially with our Black community, because our student demographics, because I looked at the last 2 years' reports, are kind of remaining stable at 16% of our students are in that category. But last year, when we looked at this, under our assistant principals, they were right at 32 to 33%. So they were more than double than what our student population was. This year, you could go, but Jamie, they went down 25%. They went down 25% because more of them moved into the principal category. So when you actually look at that category, our principal category exceeds the number of percentage of students we have. Our assistant principal category more than exceeds it. It's at 25% when the student population is only at 16. Our guidance counselors more than exceed it. They're at 20%. Where we're still struggling is in teachers. I mean, we only have 9.25% of our teachers are African American or under this category, the title of Black. So we've got to be looking at how do we get them in, because what's happening is we're getting them in and we're moving them up now, and we're starting to see, them leaving the assistant principal category and going to the principal category, which makes me happy. But also, we moved up in our district level administration at 9% now. So it's like when you move up, then now we have dropped this part here. But this is what I said last year, and I'm going to say it again. Our area where we are the weakest in representation in our employees is our Hispanic category, because our Hispanic population has I look back to years ago, and it's consistently been increasing. And with our Hispanic students being at 22%, there isn't a single category that we are even coming close to the 22%. I mean, the closest category is our district level administration, which is up from where it's been, and we're at 13% there. But, our teacher category is at 9%. And so I said this last year, how do we tap in to individuals that are Hispanic that have the background, even if they just have a bachelor's degree, and are willing to come in, and even if they come through, as we used to say, the back door and take the assessments and then do the coursework to teach, how do we tap into that? Because what I'm hearing from people that I talk to is they say they're reaching out, but they're finding people that don't have an education degree, or they don't have a degree, or they don't have any college experience yet, and they're not sure that they want to go into that part. So that is our area. That's the biggest concern area. But we've made progress in the other area, and, I challenge anybody to look at this year's report and not say that we haven't made progress in that area. Thank you.
Great. Ms. Cuthbert?
I just have two very short comments. Do we ever use age in this? Like the age of our teachers? Is that part of the equity? I mean, to employ the
No,
elder?
actually, we don't as a demographic. That is not part of the report, the equity report that comes in.
Okay.
But
Have you ever kind of looked at it?
to look to see, we have made some comparisons on, I'll say, average age of districts amongst other districts and that sort of thing.
Okay,
Not for this report, so.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also wanted to give you a compliment. Many of us were at the beginning teacher breakfast last week, and both mornings, and I was very surprised, very delighted. Surprise wasn't the right word. Very delighted. I saw more minority and more men. And also, when I spoke to a lot of the young ladies and men, and there was a larger group of older people as well, changing careers or
More mature.
re-entering.
Yes,
Yeah, more mature.
I'm not gonna say older.
I'm going to say more sophisticated.
Definitely. It was very diverse, wasn't it?
Yes,
It
it
was a good
was.
group to see. Yes, ma'am.
And so many of them spoke another language. They had accents, and I thought that's great. One wonderful young lady I had a wonderful time talking to is from Colombia, and she's going to be a Spanish teacher. So I'm just, it's really thrilled. I mean, when you take Spanish from someone who's been living there and has the accent, oh yes, that's great. So thank you. Nice job this year.
Ms. Haynes?
I do have one more thing. So when you're going over the teacher induction program, I just want to say this out loud. So anyone that has already taught, and especially those that have graciously, and I'm so excited by them, agreed to come back this year after they've just set out their 1 year from retiring, okay, we only have so many resources to go around. And if a person taught 30, 35, 40 years, and they took 1 year off, and they graciously agreed to come back and back into the area that they were teaching. I don't really think they need to do the TIPS program, okay? That is my personal opinion, but I also think we're then stressing our resources because we have so many of these people that are coming in as second career people, or they're coming in brand new, who they really need our group to focus on them because they've never done this before. So I'd just like you to take a look at the people that are coming back, and even if, say, they've been out even 2 years, but they left having been successful, like, they may just need a quick, like, little refresher of, like, here's the new kind of technology you have in your room, but do we really need to put them back through the TIPS program, therefore taking our TIPS team and, spreading them out?
So I've actually had this conversation before, and it has to do with a few different categories and reasons. Part of the TIP program is to go towards certification, to get a teacher recertified in things. So what we found is those teachers who have allowed their certificate to lapse, that's a state
Okay, so
certification issue.
we need to get the word out to everybody. Do
I agree.
not
Don't
let your certificate lapse.
certification lapse. No, I agree with you 100%.
And that happens very frequently.
Otherwise, they don't have to go through TIP.
did mine on
again.
purpose.
Okay, so like, and I don't know, but like, say the teacher that just set out for 1 year right now.
Right.
Let's hope her certificate was still valid, so she won't have to go back through TIPS.
We can fast track that and take care of it so they don't have to. It truly is for certification, because I've had that question come up before. Yes.
So can we get the word out specifically to people that are maybe at the end of drop and they're gonna have to go out, or, they're planning on going out? Can we get that word out to them, like direct communication to them? Because I'm sure you have a list of who they are, and say to them, in the event that, a year from now, you're gonna look at coming back, or maybe, and I really think we should tell the group that just went out too, maybe just retired, if you're planning on coming back, or even if you're not sure because something could change in your life, would you please not let your certificate expire, because that will save you some time
Yes.
and energy, and you don't have to.
Fast track them and get them through the modified
Yeah.
program. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
could we do that?
We definitely will. We'll
Okay,
communicate that.
because I'm even thinking about the group that we just held the retirement, dinner for.
Right.
Like, let's reach out and tell them, because, maybe their certificate's good right now for 1 more year, but if they don't do what's needed, then it could lapse, and then they want to come back, and I want those people back, okay? Because they have experience and knowledge. So, thank you. That was my final thing.
Mr. Persis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was thinking about what Ms. Haynes said earlier about the African-American teachers that we had who are now assistant principals become principals, and so forth. But, and those numbers are pretty solid, and yet the ones that are now teachers, that's, and I think it just sort of points out that those people who are probably now principals, assistant principals, probably have been in the system for a few years, and which reflects the problem that we've had getting teachers of any race into our system. So it's in it, and then it kind of manifests itself when you look at equity reports. That's our challenge. Once again, this teacher shortage that was even on NBC News last night is like a national story,
Yes.
nationwide, and of course they point to Florida as one of the leading examples with 8,000 shortages, I guess, that we have here, but other states have them too. And it also points out that this didn't just happen overnight, and that if you look back 6 years ago, when the drop of students entering college and choosing not to get into education, and that trend, started to dip, and then it continues to dip, and then when our veteran teachers start to leave and retire, we don't have that younger group that we always had in the past, coming in, and they're just not there. So I was just wondering if, and I know Kirsty isn't here now, but
Yeah, she had to go.
I, um, and I know she does a great job at things. I was just wondering if the African-American teachers that we have currently in our system, as well as other minorities, if she uses them in any way to help attract other people that, that look like me, that look like her, look like him, when she is out there, whatever she is doing, or going back to their schools, or speaking to freshman classes, or just anything, just to say that, hey, I'm a teacher in Volusia County School District. I love my job. I love what I do. I love all the support that I get. This is a profession that you should strongly consider. I don't know if she's doing stuff like that, but I think we need to use the talent that we have and help them
Agreed.
market our school district.
We do definitely, anytime we go out to recruit, we try
Take
to provide
somebody.
as many, much diversity as possible. We recruit our principals, we recruit our assistant principals, and teachers who are.
Yeah, and I was even thinking on our website,
Mhm.
just have a teacher's face there with a quote, I love my job, Volusia County Schools. You should join our team. Or, I don't know, just something. Hispanic lady or man, or, black lady, man. I don't know. Something to say, hey, Volusia County is like a friendly place, I mean, it's a place where I would like to work.
Absolutely.
We got to pull out all the stops,
Absolutely, yeah.
we do. Yeah.
And so, this came to mind the other day. I was on ISB and I saw one of our vans go by, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a Teaching Matters bus wrap on a car, on one of ours, where our Teacher of the Year and other teachers have the opportunity, and I'm just throwing that out there. That's an offer I'm not authorized to make, but
I saw attendance matters.
attendance matters, and so I think that would be great. And going back to my point earlier, we have to go to them, and I think that that's something as a board that we have to consider as a budget priority, is to say, you know what, the days of just having it on Indeed, that doesn't work anymore. I am a respiratory therapist, and I have a job, and I get offers from every hospital system in the state of Florida saying, come here. And so who's to say we don't send, come to Volusia County to every licensed teacher in the state of Florida and say, hey, come here. Maybe we pick Georgia. Public information. We get their addresses. We send them, hey, come to Florida. Again, with 2 people that respond, you pay for that tenfold. And so, Ms. Cuthbert.
And that's why I'm glad we do the fact fairs. In each of the districts, the fact fairs have always been fabulous. I attend every one of mine, and it's good to see former students, every department. That's when I was amazed at a Guardian was demonstrating all the latest places to hide certain items. I was so amazed. Oh my goodness, the cleverness of some of our students. My mouth was hanging open. I have to keep reminding myself to keep my mouth closed. But, and she was, the Guardian was adorable, but I went, I know, I think I talked to, Chief Newman over there about it afterwards. Whoa. That's why I was so, I guess, as an advocate for searching kids, because they could really put it away,
Dr. B.
literally.
Just to Mr. Burse's point, I wanted to share with you that we did have conversation regarding that, Mr. Burses. We have such passion and commitment for every single position title under the umbrella of education right here in Volusia County. That's what makes us so special and unique. So actually, I've asked Mr. Gomez to really look at creating some PSAs, public service announcement, going to some of our exemplars in this county and having them deliver that message to others. So it's something I wanted you to know in the board that Mr. Gomez is working on, and obviously he's going to tap into HR and work with Christy Mahaney as well when it comes to, teachers and paraprofessionals, registrars, bookkeepers, bus drivers, you name it. We've got the passion, we've got talent and commitment here. So that it needs to be their voices, right? Telling their story of why they chose Volusia County, why they're still with Volusia County, and why Volusia County is their future. So they will be telling the stories.
I don't mind volunteering after November.
There you go. Mr. Gomez, please add Ms. Cuthbert to the list.
Sign her up.
Sign her up.
Very good, board. Anybody else have any thoughts, feelings, or concerns? Hearing none, this workshop is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.